2010.
The crisp autumn breeze rips through the air which has begun to cool as the final fleeting moments of summer are slipping away, with greens already being replaced by reds and yellows, and late nights being replaced with earlier and earlier sunsets. The once bustling streets of Bowman, North Dakota are completely empty. The parks and playgrounds are silent, and the atmosphere, in general, has sullied. School has begun. The dark times are upon us all, especially true for one. In the coldest and most overwhelming corner of an Algebra 1 classroom is a freshly 13-year-old Kamikaze Games. But this kid is nowhere near where he would be in just over 2 years. This KG has no daily access to the internet. This KG has absolutely no social skills. This KG is terrible at math and has no business in an Algebra 1 class. Yet here we are. The bell rings on what is without a doubt another pointless 8th grade day. A day that has no reason to ever be remembered. Another innocuous drop in the bucket of an entirely average and mundane life. But that isn't the case on this occasion, because as it turns out, my uncle is in town. You see, my whole family was raised on farms of some sort, at least for a while. There's still a farm in our name, as a matter of fact, and my uncle has been tending to it these days. His son is also involved in between his humanitarian trips overseas, of course. That cousin has begun sourcing various fresh fruit from Washington and is selling it locally in North Dakota and Montana. Direct from source means it's fresher than everything that comes off of the trucks and goes into grocery stores. On top of that, the fruit just plain tastes better, especially the cherries. In fact, for the people of Bowman, North Dakota, it's the closest thing they will ever get to premium fresh fruit right there in town. Because forget Whole Foods, everyone in this town is an hour and a half away from even a Walmart. Just visiting my uncle and seeing the fruit fly out of the back of this box truck is mesmerizing. Dude is making an absolute killing. In fact, the sales are so good, my cousin and my uncle can barely keep up between the two of them. They've planted extra product on the farm this year and are looking for help harvesting this weekend. Under any other circumstance, I would ignore anything like this. The only other real work I've done in my life is a month of a paper route and mowing lawns. I will probably be functionally useless in this process. And any other day, I'd rather just go home and play video games all night. But there is something different about this proposition. Something else is lingering in the air that gets me to change my mind immediately. Because if I agree to this, I will get to skip 2 days of school. It is an unconditional yes. The work may have been slightly exaggerated. I'm definitely out getting my hands dirty for the first time in my life, but it's nothing that they couldn't have handled without me. It's once we hit the farmer's market that things get a little more interesting, because word has spread. In one morning, our entire box truck is completely cleaned out. People are making the drive up to Dickinson from miles away. And they're out to purchase premium fresh fruit from the Jacobs family. One such person is none other than the one and only Marcus Lemonis, who just happened to be passing through when he spotted the commotion around our truck at the farmer's market. With just a single look, he sees the potential, and confidence just continues to build as the logistics are discussed. Lemonis knows that Jacob's fruit could snowball into a behemoth. All the pieces are there. It just needs a little push. In reality, Lemonis never showed up. I finished my work with my cousin and went on my way. The family business remains strong to this day, but it will never grow into what it could have been. In this alternative universe, a small investment from an intelligent businessman lit a fuse under the family business, expanding rapidly and overwhelming other local farmers. We're making money hand over fist, and I'm in position to inherit a future empire. But I have bigger ambitions. There's one thing I've wanted above anything else for my entire life. Something that exceeds anything a secure, well-paying job in the family business could offer. I want to race. The problem is my age. I'm already 13. Not only have most kids been racing for years by then, but I'm in that awkward place where I'm too big for slingshots, but too young for the big cars. And annoyingly, there's not a lot of kart racing in the area either. Thankfully, there's one safe spot that fits me perfectly. Legends. And Legends are significantly less expensive to buy and maintain than most classes, making the initial hit to the old bank account a lot less significant. And my cousin is of course happy to help repay my work with a little bit of assistance on the funding side. And as it turns out, local dirt track fans are also super loyal customers, meaning my efforts even on the small scale of the North Dakota Modified Tour gives us more than enough return on investment. The few races that I'm able to run between winter 2010 and spring 2011 are able to get me acquainted with the feel of a race car for the main 2011 season in the summer. And the preparation helps, of course, but I am still very much behind for most of the season. The good equipment that we bought was enough to carry me to a few top fives here and there, but as the year drags on, I'm not making very much progress. It's a cold, long winter in 2011, waiting to see what next season brings. By the time racing comes around in 2012, I am thankfully finally 15, meaning I've got access to some higher local classes. What I'm looking forward to most is the hobby stock season, as we've brought a pretty strong car for the season. It's either that or I've taken to the looser, higher horsepower full body car versus karts or legends. I've already had a lot of strong races midway through May. It's when we're racing in Minnesota that we find out some very interesting news from our old friend Marcus Lemonis. The tiny 3/8 mile Elko Speedway is about to host its first ever ARCA REMAX Series race, and Lemonis looked at my accomplishments on a local level and thinks this would be an excellent opportunity to promote the company on a much larger scale and maybe even break into the Wisconsin market. He sends us a phone number and asks us to think it over. Despite the fact that I've only ever really raced on dirt, and Marcus was actually talking about supporting a real driver, I managed to convince the family. If we head out there, I'm the one that's driving. The phone number was for Will Kimmel, a longtime owner in the series. Kimmel was planning to qualify his 68 himself and park it. But he tells us that if we pay up front and cover the cost of tires as well, he really doesn't care who's behind the wheel. This is more than enough to hand over a reasonably decent check. Just like that, I'm an ARCA REMAX Series driver. "26 cars have come out for the first ever ARCA Racing Series event in Elko, Minnesota. I'm strapping into the number 68 Ford for the first time, completely aware that I am not at all qualified to be driving this car. And just going to show how completely unprepared we were for this weekend, the logo on the car is way too small. Thankfully, I do have a teammate this weekend over in the number 69, another dirt racer who is in completely over his head. That man is none other than Corbin Forrester. He takes to me like an older brother, and this weekend turns into the beginning of what would be our long business relationship. Leaning on him, I get a lot more comfortable the first time I get in the seat. He even manages to convince me to help cover his tires for the night. It is not the last time he will ask me for money. But never mind that. There's business at hand, and it's time for me to take my first ever laps in an ARCA car. Unsurprisingly, I'm spinning out pretty early on, but practice is good enough to put me 19th out of 26 on the board. Even though a lot of the field are complete filler entries anyway, this is still a spark of hope on the weekend. Qualifying goes worse. As a result of spinning out on the opening lap, I qualify second to last. Nowhere to go but up from here, I suppose. Before the green flag waves, I'm able to take a look through the garage area. I even have the opportunity to talk to living, breathing legend James Hilton. But unfortunately, I'm 15 years old and have absolutely no comprehension of the moment, and I do not retain any of this conversation. There's other legends in this field like Chad Hockenbrot, Steve Arpin, and even a white-hot Eric Jones. But I don't actually know anybody in this field as a fan besides Frank Kimmel. I do exchange a glance with GMS driver Spencer Gallagher, who I can already tell doesn't like me a whole lot. Which is unfair, given how the only difference between us is how deep our dad's pockets are. With that, the drivers are introduced, the cars are lined up, and the command is given. We're about to race under the lights in Minnesota.
Drivers, start your engines.
Eric Jones is on the front row alongside Chris Buescher. The Venturini 25 of Brendan Pehl is starting at the back for some reason, so this gives me the chance to follow a top car for a while. At least until I nearly wreck on lap 8, barely keeping myself and Daryl Basham alive. It's a pretty sad state of affairs, but at least I'm not the 99 nearly wrecking myself in front of the leader here. Speaking of the leader, Eric Jones is flying, and I'm already going a lap down to both Eric and Buescher. We're barely 5% of the way through this race, guys. I'm so slow I'm nearly getting hit by the wild factor in the 99. Everyone else seems really loose, but I just can't hold the bottom on either end of the track early on. I'm just horribly tight everywhere, but if I use up too much on entry, it wants to spin out. I know Will Kimmel ain't Hendrick Motorsports, but I feel like a little bit more effort could have gone into my setup, especially considering my teammate is 11th? Hello? In fact, Corbin is so fast he's already putting a lap on me. Meanwhile, Eric has a few bad corners and he drops to 4th. I'm still just trying to stay ahead of this 99 car that's starting parked in the real Elko race. We are battling for 19th right in front of the new leader, Buescher. I have to take this opportunity to let Buescher pass and follow him back through to hold on to the spot. All of this work just to be 7th to last instead of 6th to last, by the way. But I'm not the only one who's slow here. It's only lap 44 and Buescher has caught Corbin for 11th. He goes a lap down and, unfortunately, something finally happens a lap later. I have no idea what I did to deserve this, but the 99 finally dumped me off of turn 4 to bring out the first caution of the day. Astonishingly, the track was clear enough for me to turn back around and not get run into. And even more amazingly, I escaped with no damage. Oh, wait. This little move locks Brendan Pehl a lap down in 12th, so his bad start is hurting him a lot. Everyone pits on this caution, and Frank Kimmel blows an engine, ending his night. Hey, at least I won't finish last today. Due to this track being small and NR 2003 being terrible, only 5 cars are on the lead lap now, and 3 of them are tail end. Luckily, there's a quick caution that brings them back around to make it a true 5-car battle for the lead. As the race drags on into its second half, Buescher is still looking strong out in front of Eric until lap 102, when the same thing that happened to me in qualifying happens again out of turn 4. This drops me to 3 laps off pace, and it is officially the first self-spin of my career. Not to be outdone, right away on the next restart, Chris Buescher does the exact same thing from the lead, off the exact same lap car. This brings out another caution, but only drops Buescher to 3rd. And now the real Busch leaguery is about to commence as Brennan Poole dumps second place Mason Mingus into his own teammate. Hockenbrock is involved as well, but everyone continues on. Things quiet down until lap 166, when multiple laps down, Alex Bowman spins in the same trouble spot. I take this opportunity to put a set of those new tires that I paid good money for. It doesn't ultimately make much of a difference though, as I'm 5 laps down, pretty much by myself at this point. It's now a straight-up fight between 2 Venturini cars for the win of the first ever ARCA Racing Series Elko race, as Poole has finally got himself back onto the lead lap and is closing in on Eric Jones. Poole gets caught up into some traffic, but he eventually finds himself right on Eric's bumper. On the white, Poole blows turn 3. Eric Jones comes to the line to take the checkered flag. Meanwhile, I find myself in a bare-knuckle fight with a guy that's 3 laps ahead of me. I send it way too far in turn 3 and barely clip Nelson Canache, which is enough to take all the air off the spoiler and send me self-spinning once again. I do manage to cross the line this way, however, coming home 17th, 5 laps down in my ARCA debut. It was not a pretty race at all, seeing a pretty beat-up 68 car and 2 self-spins, but what I can say is that I went the distance and finished ahead of 9 entire cars. On top of that, I didn't embarrass myself too much on a national stage. I would prefer if Kimmel would give me the equipment that Corbin Forrester took to 9th next time, though. In any case, for a 15-year-old who had never set foot in a stock car this big or powerful before that afternoon, it was an entirely serviceable showing. What it does do is get national exposure for the family business, and was a great first step in expansion. From there, the rest of 2012 plays out without much fanfare. I am starting to get better behind the wheel of the hobby stock and even managed a few feature wins. I'm still very young, and there is still a long ways to go. Regardless, it's 2013 before we know it. The family business is booming. The company has expanded to the east of Minneapolis, and payroll is getting bigger and bigger. The incoming checks are getting larger as well. I'm able to field a fully customized hobby stock for the 2013 season, and it's an absolute beast. This is my impression of Mr. Beast's smile. June is also when ARCA is scheduled to return to Elko Speedway. I've been looking forward to this race since the checkered flag dropped all the way back in 2012. And I've got a much better plan this time around. We got into contact with a guy that's absolutely desperate for money. Eddie Sharp was chasing wins and championships only a few years ago. Now he's single-handedly funding 2 truck teams edging towards bankruptcy. And his championship-winning ARCA cars are being drugged to 17th on a weekly basis by guys you've never heard of and never will again. This is the perfect opportunity for me to get a shot in race-winning equipment at a discount. It's also my first chance to drive the very number of my own idol, so that's some pretty big shoes to fill. Shame it's a Chevy, though. Walking through the Elko garage leaves me feeling like I'm right at home. Unfortunately, the deal wasn't quite as advertised. The car's pretty fast, but annoyingly, Elko was one of the only races that ESR did not run in 2012, meaning we have effectively no notes besides what we learned the prior year to work off of. Still, good news is I ran a lap in practice faster than any lap I ran in 2012, so there is some positive momentum in that regard. More good news, I actually managed to qualify this time, and put the car into 8th place to start. Fantastic stuff. Ken Schrader is on the pole for the main event. The highest starting Venturini car is Kyle Benjamin in the 15, lining up 3rd. I'm going to start alongside the Briggs Cunningham 22, driven by Jonathan Island. The race is also 50 laps longer than last year, which means survival is as important as ever. Green flag is out at Elko. I'm wasting no time trying to prove myself tonight, going 3 wide middle on lap 2. I'm up to 6th place, but I'm under fire pretty quickly. The same big issue as last year's back. I just can't drive the car to the bottom of the track. Only 20 laps into the night, and 13th place starter Tom Hessert is all over me. All hope isn't lost yet, though, as I pass Frank Kimmel to take 7th place. This is pretty significant. It's not every day that you can say you passed ARCA's winningest driver. And Frank, he's not very impressed by it. He gives me the bumper on lap 32. That's a little rude, isn't it? Frank is a total professional though, and I hang on to the car. Hessert also gets by me as a result. Unfortunately, I'm still dead in the water at this point. The car has no stability whatsoever, and I'm getting past nearly every lap. I'm out here getting passed by Taylor Ferns and, checks notes, Melcadono. Good lord, we're slow. I'm getting very frustrated, and I'm getting into the wall off of turn 4 quite often. Thankfully, a lap 75 caution stops the bleeding for a minute. All the right side damage I've gotten has taken a toll, and I lose a lap while pitting the car. And with only 14 cars on the lead lap, it feels like I've regressed compared to my run with Kimmel in 2012. I'm losing confidence. Fast. At lap 122, Island spins Roger Carter, and the caution is back out once again. A few more cars have gotten lapped at this point, and a top 10 might actually be back on the table again for me. In fact, I take the wave around under this caution to get back onto the lead lap. Unfortunately, I don't have better cautions installed, which means I start right in front of the leader for this restart. Meaning, I have the fastest car on the track right behind me. I actually last longer than I expected to, but do not get the caution that I needed, and I'm back a lap down. However, I am managing to stay with Hessert and 2nd place Mason Mitchell for a solid amount of time after this restart. The car is nearly capable of winning. I just need a couple of adjustments and my lap back, and I'd be right there with them. It really isn't meant to be though, as I continue damaging the car lap after lap, just trying to keep up. Meanwhile, Hessert has just dominated this race since getting himself into the lead. Late in the final run, Mitchell is closing in, but he runs out of time. Tom Hessert III takes the 2nd ARCA race at Elko Speedway. I managed to drag the ESR number 6 into 13th place, and I return to the pit lane absolutely devastated. I feel like I completely blew this race and blew my only chance at a win in ARCA racing. I expect to head home completely empty-handed, but as we're packing up, I realize we're not alone. After celebrating the win as the winning team owner, I am approached by Briggs Cunningham himself. As it turns out, he had been paying attention during the middle portion of the race where I'd put everything on the line against the winning car. Cunningham saw that and realized that I actually had potential. After explaining that I was in fact 16 and had no plans on other ARCA starts this year, he leaves his phone number and asks that if I plan on coming back again next year, call him first. There it was, the first tangible thing that racing in ARCA had given me. A phone number. It wasn't much, especially considering it would be an entire year until the next ARCA race, but it was exactly what I needed after a tough outing. 2014 couldn't come quick enough. Hello and good evening, YouTube. I am obviously Kamikaze Games, and thank you for watching the first part of what is hopefully going to be a relatively long-running series where we will take a look at what my racing career would have looked like had I been a rich kid. Now, you've got to understand that I've been wanting to make this series on this channel, like, specifically in NR 2003, for like a decade now, but I've never actually been willing to put in the time and effort to get good at playing NR 2003. I never liked how it drove. I always preferred the feel of iRacing over it, but now I've just, I just put my nose to the grindstone, and actually it helped to make the first couple of races here a little bit more realistic, and it wasn't just me destroying the field because, experienced e-racer or whatever. But the thing is that recording this first two races, and editing this, and getting the footage, and doing all of that, originally, my plan was to do this series and have it be maybe a weekly, bi-weekly thing, kind of like NASCAR 06. But my goodness, dude, like, this just takes so much effort to put together. Like, I mean, I'll just be putting my nose to the grindstone, and I'll look over, and it's been an hour since I started working. And I've gotten maybe a minute done. And it's ridiculous. And that's not to mention recording the races. Dude, recording races in NR 2003 for a series like this is a joke. Okay, so, like, the races that you've seen, all the self-spins, all the nonsense, there's a bunch of self-spins in these races that I cut out. I didn't even include half of it. There's a bunch of non-canon self-spins. What you're not seeing are all the attempts. I know that a couple of these races, I'm pretty far into the series already, as far as, like, doing the actual racing part. A couple of these races took me multiple days of doing attempts just to get a serviceable race in. One that isn't just wrecking for the first 20 laps, 5 cautions, the majority of the field is a lap down before anything started, Just recording this has been an absolute nightmare, and now editing it is just as big of a nightmare. So, just what I'm trying to say is that this series is probably going to be a lot more sporadic. I don't think that this series is going to be structured. I wanted this series to be a weekly or bi-weekly structured because it's such a fun concept, and I think people are really going to have fun with this series and the plans that I have for my theoretical racing career. And even though that this is entirely for fun and entirely theoretical, I wanted this to be as realistic as possible. I didn't want it to be, 2012, and I'm 15 years old from North Dakota, and I'm suddenly in a Venturini car. No, I didn't want that. I wanted this to be as reasonable as possible, at least as reasonable as Marcus Lemonis stumbling upon our family business and just deciding to give us millions of dollars to invest into my racing career specifically. Like, we literally had to rewrite, a thing that actually, actually happened. I have worked in the company. I have worked in the family business. Twice. Very rarely, 2 or 3 times, but it has happened! Alright, this is a thing that happened. Everything that happened up until Marcus Lemonis in this video at the start, all of that is true. Every single moment up until Marcus Lemonis is what happened. So, what I'm trying to say is that, I don't know what I'm trying to say at this point. I'm tired, dude. Editing this has been a nightmare. I not only have to race the races, but I have to write the script, and I have to record the footage, and I have to edit it all. It's such a heavy project to do, and with the way that my work-life balance has been lately, I can't, man. So this is a huge undertaking, but one thing that I will say, I know I've been bloviating for a long time, like half this video is just gonna be this end bit. One thing that I know for sure is that Mega Appreciators will have early access to these videos, just like the NASCAR 06 stuff, just like everything else on the channel. Mega Appreciators, if you click the blue button at the bottom of the video, for only $6.99 a month, you can support this channel, help make videos like this, maybe come out on a more frequent basis. I mean, I can't live off of YouTube alone, so it's not like I'm going to be taking days off of work to be able to make this content, but who knows? If enough people find this interesting and want to throw some money at it, and become Mega Appreciators, who knows? Who fucking knows, dude? Anything's possible in this crazy website. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is that I hope everyone enjoys this, but please do not expect it to be coming out every single week. It may be a once-a-month series, if we're 100% honest. And it's gonna be short, 20 minutes at most videos. It's such a heavy project, man. If you've seen NBR's Driven to the Edge series, you know the kind of schedule that it takes to have a series like this on YouTube, and I'd have to basically focus on just this. I wouldn't be able to do anything else. I'd have to focus on just this if I wanted to have this out on a weekly basis. And I mean, I don't know, it probably sounds like I'm bitching right now, but it's just so much, dude. Just thinking about editing this, makes me want to cry some days, but it's fun. It's extremely satisfying once it's done, though. Like, when I watch back the stuff that I've edited while making the video, it's just like, oh my god, this is so fire. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm done talking. That's way too much bloviation from me. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Kamikaze Games, and I hope to see you in the next episode of What If Kamikaze Games had raced. See you next time. Bye!